Hello everyone, hope you're doing well. Today it's time to have a look at another aspect of the May sale, which is going to be coming out. So you obviously have the special packs, which are available from the 5th of May to the 9th of May, and then you also have some discounted packs which are going to be available from the 9th of May to the 16th of May. So these packs are not discounted yet, so just be careful on buying them right now because they won't have their full discount on them. So these packs are ones which are going to be removed from the game after the sale is finished on the 16th, and they are pretty much just premium packs from different nations which have either already had the vehicles come in and kind of replace them, or just have been around for a long time. The other set of packs which are also going to be 50% off are starter packs. Now these are not going to be removed from the store after the sale, but all of the other ones that we're going to go through in this video will be removed after the sale is finished. So this might be the last chance that you'll get to get any of these vehicles. And before we get into them individually, we'll talk about these starter packs. So these starter packs themselves are incredibly good, and also just as a point, if you are buying anything on the store, it would be kind of you to use my affiliate link, which you'll find in the description of the video. It'll give you my decal in the game, and also it'll be able to support the channel. It won't give you, it usually gives a 3% discount on purchases, but I don't think it works with stuff which has already been discounted. But overall, it does, as I said, support the channel, and I get a bit of kickback from it, which is always nice. Anyway, getting into the starter packs are always great value to be able to get you into a new tech tree, or to kind of give a mate or somebody a boost who's just started the game. At 50% off, it is very hard to actually go against any of these starter packs. They're all really nice when it comes to the cost. Basically, the cost actually covers the amount of premium time you get, so you basically get 2 bonus vehicles out of the starter pack with it being 50% off. The only starter packs which I'd say are not very good are the Italian one with the M1441 and also the Swedish one with the Fokker D21. Those are probably the weakest out of them. The US starter pack isn't the best either, but it's also the cheapest, so that makes the most sense. All of the other starter packs are fantastic. The British one is really good with the Spitfire and the Crusader. The Chinese one with the H-81 and also the M3A3 is a fantastic one. The Soviet one with the T-126 and Zukovsky's I-153 is probably my favorite. It's probably the funnest out of all of them. And then also the Japanese starter pack is looking really, really nice as well. So the starter packs are great value, wonderful for people who are trying to get into other trees, or wonderful for people who are just starting out, and 50% off, they are just even better. Definitely worth pickups in general, so would highly recommend those ones. Anyway, let's get into the other vehicles. The first disappearing vehicle is going to be the Type 69 2G pack. This is going to be for the Chinese. Now, this one is at 8.7, and at the same time, it's got a fantastic lineup around it nowadays. The PTZ89, the PTL02, the PGZ09, and the ZTZ59D1, and the M60A3 TTS. So for general grinding, you don't really need this vehicle because you already have a pretty stellar lineup at this BR. So the only reason you would get this is to be able to grind through the tech tree with it. And I've got to be honest, with the recent addition, the ZTZ96A prototype, and also the WMA 301, which is pretty much a similar price, if not better than it, it's a tough sell for the T69 2G. At 50% off, it makes a lot more sense as a vehicle to pick up. It does come with 2000 G and also 15 days of premium accounts, making it a little bit sweeter. And the rewards for RP are very good on it, and the rewards for SL are not very good on it. It has all of the same issues as general Type 59 and 69 tanks. The turret rotation is not terrible, but it's not great. The gun depression is pretty rough, but it's got a quite low profile. Its armor is useless, even with the extra armor which is on top of it. It has this ERA blocks, which is quite nice. It can be good against chemical rounds, but you don't usually face too many chemical rounds, and if you do, they're ATGMs which have tandem warheads on them, so they just go straight through this. The armor profile for this thing is not very strong, So you can go through the upper glacis pretty easily, and as usual, when it comes to these types of designs, there's a huge hole where your gunner or your commander or your loader sits when it comes to these vehicles, which doesn't have extra armor. So shooting it in the front of the turret means that you can knock out the gunner and also the commander in one hit, and then probably the breach, and then just go after it. You can also shoot through here, hit the driver and then these two, but it's a little bit harder to do unless you have a very, very powerful gun. You also have the first stage ammo stowage, which is in the actual fuel in the front here, which does act as a bit of a buffer for extra armor, which works pretty well. It has the Dishka on the top, which is quite nice, and it also has a unique thing with it, which not many MBTs have, which is the HE VT shell, which is right here. But this isn't very good this isn't very good when it comes to the general game, because you have a 10-second reload, and the VT is obviously good for killing helicopters or killing planes, but because the gun handling is not really there, it does have the stabilizer, the two-plane stabilizer, but the elevation is really slow. As you can see, vertical speed of 3.4. The general, the turret rotation is not great, and the elevation only goes up to plus 18. So actually hitting stuff from the air with the HEVT is quite tough to do. It does get the Type 83 APDS on it, which pens pretty well, 351, 296, 203. You're not going to struggle penning anything with this round, really, maybe apart from some heavies like the 279 at certain angles. The heat is quite nice as well, but I would say the APF SDS is the way to go. And you'll have a decent time in this. It just has all of the issues that all of the other Chinese vehicles which are Soviet-based have. It has lack of reverse, which isn't very nice. It has armor, but the armor has massive weak spots in it. Its gun's going to perform very well if you can get it onto target, and also mobility is not too bad, but could be better. It's a very bog standard experience, and I would personally say there are better options like the WMA301, and also at the same time, if you're looking to run it with the lineup, then you can do, but you're going to be replacing an MBT, which is going to give you either the similar experience or a slightly worse experience, but won't change the lineup too much. So yeah, it's a tough sell on this one. The Pyorremyrsky is a Finnish plane which is in the Swedish tech tree, and was one of the starter planes that you could get to get access to the Swedish tech tree. And it's not a bad vehicle. It's very standard to the BF-109s that you find around the place. You have the DB605A engine, which is a completely fine engine, not as powerful as some of the other ones, but it's good enough. You got two MG151 20mm on it as well. When it comes to the vehicle, you have one singular MG151 right here in the center of the engine, and then you have two 12.7s on it. So that's your general armament. It works very well. You've got good ammunition. You can survive in fights for a decent amount of time, and its flight characteristics are very similar to general BF-109s. It's not a bad vehicle. It works incredibly well, and also it has quite a nice bomb load of 4-100s that you can take as a CAS option of 4.3 if you want to. So as a general vehicle, it's not bad. It's overall like a decent experience of a vehicle, and at $10, which this is going to be with 1,000 GE and also 7 days of premium, I actually think that's a really good price for this thing if you haven't played the Swedish tech tree before. It also has a marketplace skin, which is, always nice to see for the vehicle, and it is beautiful. It's a nice grey camouflage for it in general, and being a rank 3 vehicle, you'll be able to research past all the way into the end of rank 4 for the Swedish tree, and I'm sure they'll add more and more vehicles. There has been talk about more Finnish vehicles being added, so we'll be able to see them at some point. But the real question is it better to pick up the Pyorremyrsky, or is it better just to kind of grind through the general tech tree? The Swedish tech tree is really fun. The J-22s are great. The J-20 is, it's alright. The J-11 is a starter vehicle. The bombers are really fun for the tech tree. The J-21s are awesome. The Mustang is a Mustang, and the Jet J-21 and A-21 work very well. The SK-60 is a great vehicle. The T-18s are really fun. So, do you need a premium to grind through these? No, I don't think so. You can kind of just grind them through and have a bit of fun with them as you go. But if you, I suppose, power grinding through it, the Pyorremyrsky isn't a bad idea. It can work very well in that regard. So it's a fine vehicle. If you've played BF-109s, this one feels very similar to them. It's a little bit more maneuverable with a little bit less speed, but overall it just fits the bill very well. So I would actually recommend this one if you haven't played the Swedish Tech Tree before. If you have played it before, then obviously you know the strength of the standard aviation vehicles, so probably not the best pickup. The MiG-17AS is the next vehicle, which is going to be 50% off, and it's 2000 G with 15 days of premium account on top of it. The MiG-17AS is a boom or bust vehicle depending on the meta which you are running into, and this is generally not what you want when it comes to a vehicle. You want it to be more stable than anything else. The reason why the MiG-17AS is a boom or bust vehicle is because, well, it's a 9.0, and being a 9.0 pretty much means that you either get downed and you annihilate, or you play at 9.7 or 10.0, which is generally where you play, and you get annihilated. The 9.0 MiG-17AS is frankly just straight better than the standard MiG-17 in the tech tree, so if you're looking for a pay-to-win version of the MiG-17, this one isn't a bad bet, but as I said, it still has the major issues of being up-tiered into that 9.7 bracket, which just gets stronger and stronger and stronger. When you compare this to having to face stuff like a MiG-19 PT or an A-10 with its AIM-9Ls, or stuff such as the F-4C, for example, or even other scary machines at 9.7 such as the Harrier, the MiG-17AS kind of pales in comparison. You get access to two R3Ss, which are some of the worst IR guided missiles in the game, very much only good for taking out low and slow targets. You get access to the 37 and the 23s, which can be a very powerful armament if used correctly, but it does take time to get used to, since it's very different to a bunch of other stuff that you won't be used to. The engine is the VK1. It produces enough power to be able to move you around and out energy fight pretty much anything from 9.0, well, 8.7 and below. So overall, you can have a really good time with this thing, but you can also have a horrific time, and the majority of the time, in my experience with 9.0s, you're gonna have a horrific time, because 9.7 is just a very, very strong BR, and everybody plays there, especially since a lot of the premiums are there right now, so this thing is just going to get annihilated. It's just like all of the other 9.0s, unfortunately, they're just in a rough place right now, and with a little bit of BR decompression, they'll get a lot better, and may become very good, but at this moment in time, right now, that is not the case, so the MiG-17AS is not very good. The SAV 2012-48 is also on offer. This is one of the wonkiest premium vehicles in the game, but it is quite fun, and because of its unique mechanics. Basically, what this is a tank destroyer with not very good pen, and very good mobility, pretty good gun depression, and absolutely awful armor, and artillery is not your friend in this thing. You get overpressured very easily, but it has something which a lot of people enjoy, and that is the fact it has a 1.2 second reload rate on its first stage, and the first stage has access to 6 pieces, so you can basically barrage an area with 6 pieces of ammunition of 95mm pen, and then disappear for a bit, reload, and then do it again. And a lot of people enjoy that quite a lot with the vehicle. I've had a pretty decent time with it when I've played it. My only criticism of it is, as you can see, one of the problems is the commander has decided that his head has to stick out of the top of the vehicle, so you can actually just kill the commander by just shooting at the vehicle. And then also this spot here, for some reason, where the driver is, it kind of gives everybody an indication of where to shoot to be able to take out the vehicle. And since there's only 3 crew, it's very easy to kill this thing. So survivability is awful, the mobility is good, and the gun is very fun to use, but it is still a limited gun. You know, it's got limited traverse, it's not on a turret, so it's going to have its issues in that regard. It is quite cheap though, 50% off, you know, $10 with 1000 GE and 7 days of premium. I think it would be quite a fun little deal. You can use the smoke grenades to reposition as well, which is quite nice. And if you're looking for something to start the Swedish tree, I would say the starter pack is probably better for you. But if you want a vehicle which is a little bit of fun, then I suppose you can bring along the SAV. The problem is it doesn't have a lineup with it, which is super rough, especially when it comes to Sweden, because Sweden has a very rough rank 1 and 2 until you get the APDS on a bunch of the vehicles. So it'll help you get through that, but I think the starter packs are much better for that, and I wish this thing had a lineup. Maybe at some point it will, but right now unfortunately it doesn't. You've also got the OF40 Mark II MTCA. This is for Italy, and I used to think this one was one of the weaker premiums you could pick up because of the fact that it didn't have a lineup at its BR for Italy, and also it didn't have access to some of the other things that other nations have. So the OF40 MTCA doesn't get access to thermals, which obviously is quite nice, but they have nerfed thermals quite a bit over the last year, so they're not as useful. It doesn't get access to DM33 either. It only gets DM23, which is still fine, but you know, if this thing's going to go up against a lot of 9.7s, 10.0s, which, you know, it goes up against a decent amount of 9.7s, the DM33 would be nice, but the DM23 works, you know, very, very well with the vehicle. It does have access to a laser and smoke grenades, and one of the nicest things about the OF40s is the optics, you know, is fantastic on these vehicles. This thing is pretty mobile as well. Being the MTCA, it has the 884 horsepower engine, so it can motor forwards and backwards, so repositioning is really good. Its armor is terrible, but you don't need armor around this BR, you just need something to survive artillery, which is what this thing does. It has the 2-plane stabilizer on it, so it's whoever sees who first dies, which works very well with the vehicle. And nowadays, with the OF40, it actually has a good set of vehicles around it. You've got the Leopard 1A5, for example, which is, you know, has the thermals and the DM33, which is really nice, and it's very similar in playstyle to the OF40, so those worked really well together. You got the Centauro as well for a light tank, which is one of my favorites in the game. You got the other Centauro, since it got APFSDS. You got the OF40 Mark II to be able to run with the MTCA. I suppose you could up tier it with the Dardo, but you got the VCC-80 that you can run with it as well. 9.0 is a really nice BR for Italy now. So the MTCA is a pretty decent pick because of that. And also at the same time, it actually does research the whole of the tech tree as well, if you want it to. So nowadays, I think the MTCA is actually a pretty good pick. It's got really good RP rewards. The SL rewards are not the best, so that's a bit of a problem. But you know, that can be done better with, you know, a decent use of auto repair, and also, you know, grinding through vehicles normally. But this one, I think, is actually a pretty decent pick nowadays. So I would go for it. You know, 15 days of premium, 2000 GE, the vehicle itself, all for like $30. That sounds great, and a good vehicle to add to the lineup. I'd still take the 1A5 over it, but for general grinding, this one ain't too bad. And also at the same time, you never know what might happen with the Italian tree. With the idea of subtrees coming along, maybe we'll get Hungary, maybe we'll get Romania, and that means that the MTCA will be a little bit more useful. So that is all the premium packs that are going to be on offer from the 9th of May to the 16th of May. So not on offer yet, but they will be soon. And as I said, special shout out to the starter packs. They are fantastic value. And overall, most of these packs are in a pretty good place. You know, if I was going to recommend ones from this, the Pyorremyrsky and the OF40 would be the ones to look at. The rest are nice, but generally lack a lot when it comes to their general playstyles. As always, I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time. I'd just like to thank Merciless Reaper, Jerry Provolt, Mega Dino King, Professor X1718, Orange Tail, Sakoshi Tiger, Teddy, John Ryman, Universe, Eugen's Terry, Ambrosius McClellan, Daniel Stanton, Martinez, Moxie, B. Young, and Derek R., Barine, Lafouche, and Samuel Slick for supporting the channel.